How much time do you spend on social media? Either you've heard this question so many times and you're not really surprised by the answer anymore, or you are surprised by the answer. And think about it. Anyways, we all spend too much time on social media. And if you don't, I'm kind of surprised. You did great. But let's be honest here. Most of us just do spend too much time on social media. Social media does have a toxic input in our lives, and that's what I want to talk about today. Currently, the biggest social media platform is Facebook, which was kind of a surprise to me since I thought only old people would use it, but apparently not. I'm not gonna talk about Facebook all that much here though, since I'm not really using it, and also it pretty much summarizes all the bad stuff from other social media platforms. But let's just say Facebook is huge. WhatsApp belongs to Facebook, Instagram belongs to Facebook, so this is a huge thing there. And I'm also gonna link some stuff in the description of the video, so if you want to read about some of that stuff, you can. We are starting with a heavy one, and that is Twitter. A lot of YouTubers have made videos about this. Even Pewdiepie has made a video about how toxic Twitter is. And it's really sad, since the overall concept of Twitter isn't toxic at all. It's just posting some text, some tweets. You can also post pictures and videos, but that's not what I'm going to talk about here, since I'm talking about that when I talk about YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, etc. We are mainly just focusing on text here. And the problem with text is that there's no emotion behind that. You can't see how a text is meant, if it's meant ironically, if it's a joke, if it's serious. You don't know the emotional state of the person that posted the tweet while he was posting it. So there's a lot of miscommunication. And what makes this even worse is that Twitter is a really political platform where you post opinions and news. News, opinions, and political stuff. And a lot of miscommunication. This platform is bound to cause beef. This platform is bound to cause conflicts. And there's another thing that is really interesting that I found out while researching for this video. A study from DePaul University and Harvard Business School, sorry if I mispronounced it by the way, showed that negative tweets spread and grow faster than positive ones. And it does make sense, since controversial stuff is the stuff that we tend to talk about more and give it more platform. So we are kind of responsible for that. We are responsible for the toxicity. And I think that's with every social media platform, the bad stuff growing thing. And the toxicity, it's not the platform itself, it's us who do that. It's us who spread the information and who give it the attention that it just doesn't deserve. And some people use that and want to be controversial to get attention. And that is a huge problem. The next one on the list is TikTok. And this is a huge thing for me, because that is kind of what's made me start this whole video in the first place. Because TikTok for me is the most toxic one. And I skipped some on the list, by the way, since this video, I don't want it to be too long. But TikTok's algorithm, it's great. It's really good. It suggests videos that matches your interests. It does that really well, which is in actuality a good thing. But it's kind of a problem as well, because when you read comments on this topic, this can get really toxic, especially since TikTok doesn't just recommend videos that are huge and popular, but also smaller ones, which is great since smaller creators get supported more. The overall concept is good, but you get a lot of stuff that shouldn't even be on this platform. I'm talking about racist stuff, sexist stuff, and overall discriminating stuff. And that's what you can get if you spend a lot of time on TikTok. And also it can bring you deep into a topic that you really don't like, but you spend so much time in there because you really want to argue against someone, you really want to see those things so you can be angry at them. And also, if you can, TikTok makes it really easy for you to, for example, seek for sad stuff. You can change the algorithm so fast, it's incredible. You can put every happy video there is or any funny video on not interested, and like every sad video, and in a matter of a day your feed is full of sad shit. And it is it's kind of a problem. You kind of want to watch these videos if you're sad, but it also just drags you in deeper, and that's a thing that really happened for me. I was just seeking for sadness at this point, and my feed's still full of that stuff, and I don't really want to change it. Like, it's a good thing that it recommends you things so well. You can change all that stuff so easily, but it can get really, really problematic. And like I said, smaller videos are great and all, but you can get dragged into some weird corners of social media and some really difficult parts, really controversial stuff, really stuff that you just don't want to be in. And you still put your mind to it because you start a conversation with someone in comments or something like that, and it's just really hard. So also TikTok can be really difficult, as well as I think it also shrinks your attention span, but I guess it's also with every social media platform. If I find anything on that, I will put it in the description as well. Instagram is the worst platform for mental health. There are people posting pictures that are perfect, and they are spreading a standard of a look that is unrealistic, especially since most of these pictures are edited and perfect lighting and the quality of the camera, everything is so perfect. So Instagram really sets this high standard, and especially women are in trouble with that. And Instagram makes you unhappier, studies have shown. And it is incredible to me how Instagram has so many bad effects. There is also something called FOMO, the fear of missing out. And that's also what you have on every social media platform that makes you addicted, because you do want to know the newest picture, the newest news. You want to know everything. And if you're not on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, or anything else for a day, you think to yourself like that you missed something and you're gonna go there on the next day. And that's a huge problem. And these platforms, and that's what makes me angry, they are designed this way. They give you notifications at specific times. They want you to be addicted to these platforms. And since Instagram is so bad for your health, this is what makes it so problematic. As well as like relationship status. A relation on Instagram is shown perfect. If a person sees that, they are thinking to themselves, oh my god, why am I single? Why do they have such a perfect relationships? And why don't I? Why is my relation so terrible? And that is because they only show the good parts of their life. That's the thing with social media. They only show the good parts. And that's why I'm kind of glad that I'm posting sad stuff on my social media accounts, because I was afraid to show my weak side as well. But I'm really glad that I feel so free, even if people may not like it or think it's weird. I am just glad to show these pictures, these videos where I just show myself when I'm really down, which I am a lot, to be honest, especially those last years. And I have to say, this fear of missing out, this just showing yourself from the good side, those are the problems with the pictures, and also just this high standard that Instagram puts on society. It's incredible, and I do see why Instagram is the worst social media platform for mental health. I'm really glad that I'm not using Instagram so often. I am just really, really glad. Even though I have to say I do have this fear of missing out myself a lot of times because I don't have Instagram. Sometimes it really feels like Instagram is important to have. And that's also a huge problem. So I also fall into that even though I don't use Instagram that much. And I want to use it more often. I just have to say Instagram, I've read a lot right now and it kind of shook me. WhatsApp is a great tool. Like Facebook, it has over 2 billion monthly active users, but it does have its dark sides as well. Yes, even WhatsApp has its dark sides. For example, it takes up a lot of concentration. You are not able to focus as good if you get a WhatsApp notification because you're thinking to yourself, who texted me and what did they say? Even if it's just a notification sound, even if it's just a vibration, you're thinking who and what for the next 5 minutes. And if you check your phone to see what they said, for example, they said, what do you want to do on the weekend? You're thinking about what you want to do on the weekend. And if you're at work or at school or doing your homework, this could be really problematic, and it is. And WhatsApp isn't the only thing that is taking up your concentration. In the long term, social media generally reduces your ability to concentrate because you scroll from thing to thing. There's no real need to concentrate. You just, if something is boring, you scroll. If you don't get something, you scroll. Sometimes you just scroll. This is just the thing with social media. And with WhatsApp also comes the thing that there's only real people. Like there's only people you know in real life, or not, maybe not only for some people, but most likely most contacts that you have on WhatsApp you know in real life, most likely. And this makes this such high priority. If you get a notification from WhatsApp, then it seems so important, more important than it may is. And this real contact thing has the problem as well that cyberbullying could be a huge thing, because there are some class groups for your school and there are most like kids in it, and kids can be cruel, and you can't just get rid of them by blocking them or something like that, because you may see them at school the next day, next years. So WhatsApp does seem like the perfect way to cyberbully, and it's kind of hard. And it can actually really ruin your life. For example, if a nude gets sent into a group or to some other contacts. On WhatsApp, this just isn't a joke, because like I said, those are people you know in real life, and this makes it so difficult. There's also this Twitter problem, because it's text messages again, so you don't know how something is meant, and you may interpret it. Why can't I say that word? You may think that it's cyberbullying what they do, but maybe they just do a joke and you just put your mind to it way too much. And that's, like I said, it's the Twitter problem that we had before. And also, studies have shown that people feel like WhatsApp is taking over real relationships, and I feel like there's in pretty much every relationship. There are some love relationships that are taken over. It feels like sometimes some couples really spend more time on WhatsApp than they do in real life, and not just couples, but pretty much everything. And there's just so much contact on WhatsApp. It should be IRL, and that is also just a huge thing. We live way too much in the internet and not enough in real life. And WhatsApp has this huge problem that everyone pretty much uses it. Who doesn't have WhatsApp? So you do have to take into consideration these mental health issues that come with social media. It's loneliness, depression, anxiety that can come from this low self-esteem, and WhatsApp has a lot of problems that other social media have, but pretty much everyone uses it. And the same thing with Facebook. There are just so many people using that stuff, so it's just not easy with that. Maybe with the other social media platforms you could say that just don't use it or something, or use less, but it's just not that easy with huge platforms like WhatsApp or Facebook. If you start using it, you just can't not use it anymore, because it's just an important tool for you. YouTube is a difficult topic because there's so many videos on there and you choose what you watch. I personally am really addicted to YouTube. There were weeks where I spent 5 hours daily on this platform. So I have a huge problem with that, so I'm glad I shrink my TikTok consume that much. My TikTok consume is barely there. There was a time where I really watched a lot of TikTok videos and I was like, no, I don't want this to be as big as YouTube is for me right now. I don't wanna have this fear of missing out. That's what I had on YouTube extremely, because I want to know what happens on YouTube. I want to know the new stuff that happens, and I want to be informed. I want to know what beef there is, what the new studio from this guy is. I really want to know, and I have this fear of missing out on YouTube so much. And I try to shrink it by watching videos at double speed and only watching my subscribed YouTube channels, not the ones that are recommended. And that kind of worked for me. So lately it got less, which I'm really glad. But since I'm not doing that for a long time now, I'm only been doing that for a month or so, I can't really say how much it will work for me in the long term, but I definitely want to shrink that. And talking about the overall factors here, it's just not possible, because I'd have to say the negative effects of popular music videos and then I have to talk about the music industry and talking about, I don't know, famous YouTubers, and there are so many of them. It's just too much. I can't talk about that for a long time, but most YouTubers try to make this great atmosphere and blocking comments that are difficult, and YouTube does that as well, which makes this really moderated. And YouTube may be the platform that is the less toxic, but there's still a lot of toxicity in there, and that is a difficult topic, but too huge to say all the negative effects here. But I'm still mentioning here since I am really addicted to this platform, and this addiction factor is so big for me that I really can't not mention it here. There is a lot of stuff I haven't even talked about here, like sleeping problems, but this is already a pretty long video and a lot of input, so let's just do a little summary here and what you can do to change some of that for your own good. Do you have to live like a caveman, delete all social media and never use them again? No. But you should really be aware of this fear of missing out. You're not missing out if you don't know what's going on in an influencer's life. You're not missing out if you don't know what's going on in a person's life, even if you know that person. The persons that really are important to you, you see in real life. And there may be some people that don't live where you live. You can still call them, you can still talk to them, but you don't always have to know what's going on in their lives on social media, because if it's a person that you really care about, they will tell you. If it's on call, they will text you. It's not that important. And just be aware that you can use these tools. Really, you can use them for good stuff. You can learn you something. You can look for workouts. You can learn a new craft. You can do pretty much anything. You just use them for entertainment. There's also nothing wrong with that. But I recommend only going there if you get something out of that, and not just because you're bored or something like that, because that is just addictive. And just be aware how much time you spend on social media, and don't do it too much. You should mute your phone sometimes as well, or delete your social media platforms, the apps, I mean. You can do that, and if you really want to see what's happening, you can just go on Instagram.com or I don't know, TikTok.com. You don't have to have these apps on your phone, and if you still want to see what's going on in there, you can still do that, but there's just this additional barrier there. And yes, I have that from a YouTube channel called Better Than Yesterday. I guess I will link that as well. And you can also set a specific time where you go to social media, like saying I go from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's the time where I am allowed to go to social media, and on other times I just won't. These are the things you can do to improve, or if that's too much for you, you can just, I think just this awareness can be enough if you really change something. Like for me, this watching YouTube on double speed and only watching the subscribe YouTube things, and maybe unsubscribing to people where you know you're just not getting anything from them. That is also really important. Don't follow people who don't give you anything back. And people who you're just not interested to. It's just not good for you. You are just having some problems. And while streaming, I've also noticed that there are a lot of people spending a lot of time on social media. I mean, it does make sense because I'm a small streamer, and to find me, you do have to go deep into the internet. And I mean, you can do that every now and then. Like, I would kind of destroy myself if I'd say don't do that. But just don't overdo it, you know. There's no problem if there's a day where you only spend on social media, but it's really, you should just really watch out for this average daily use. Let's just put it like that. If there's just a day where you spend, I don't know, 5 hours on YouTube, let's say, there's no problem with that. But if it's a habit of you to do that, then that's a problem. And you should change that. I guess there are so many other things that you can improve, but like I said, this video is already pretty long, and maybe I will do another video on that or add something later on to the video. But because this is pretty much the most important part about this. But the most important thing for you, I think, is awareness. Be aware of social media, the bad things that come with it. Be aware that not every life is perfect. People only show the good life. And be aware that social media is just a tool that can be great, but if you use it wrong, it's a drug. And thank you for watching. This was my first real YouTube video. Well, if you take the Eminem thing, the rap that I did, then that's my second one. But this wasn't a scripted video, I just practiced this a lot. So this is my first real scripted video, and it did take me a lot of time because I researched it, because I did a lot of retakes. So I'd really appreciate it if that you watched until now. I really thank you for that. But yeah, I'm really I'm really interested in how, if I can't even talk, on how the feedback will be. And I'd be glad if you give me some kind of feedback. Like I said, thanks for watching and goodbye.